afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Here we go.
There you go.
Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Kyle Rocky. I'm the graduate assistant for the Walker Center for Civic Responsibility and Leadership. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you Dr. Anderson. Dr. Anderson is the 14th president at Millersville University. Prior to coming here, he was the 11th president of Alfred State College in Alfred, New York. Between 2004 and 2008, Dr. Anderson served as the executive vice president and provost at Hartwood College in New York. Dr. Anderson is a wonderful president, and I think that we're all very gifted and lucky to have him as our leader of this prestige university. And so it's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Anderson today.
And Kyle is a wonderful student, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Kyle, for that nice introduction. Good afternoon and welcome to the 7th Annual International Policy Conference at Millersville University, The Essentials of Happiness. And I'm, of course, the president of the university, as Kyle mentioned, and I want to thank you for joining us today on this kind of rain-soaked day, and we're getting ready for Joaquin to go up the coast, and I'm consulting with our meteorologist, making sure that we're all ready and we don't have another Hurricane Sandy, hopefully. But this is going to be a very informative academic journey into one of the most basic of human desires, happiness. We all feel better when we're happy. Hilarious, inspiring, and real are just a few of the adjectives audiences have used to describe our opening speaker. Linda Larsen comes to us today by a very circuitous route. Listen to this. From waitress to receptionist, go-go dancer. Some of you don't know what that is. It's kind of a 70s thing. To professional comedic actress, to social worker, to award-winning speaker and best-selling author. Linda has either seen it, done it, or danced with someone who has. Linda has spoken to groups like the American Heart Association, Jaguar Motor Companies, LL Bean, and the Federal Reserve Bank, to name a few. She has spoken to over 1,000 audiences in 5 countries. Her largest audience was 17,000 teenagers in Louisville, Kentucky. That must have been quite a challenge. Her passion and spontaneous humor stem from over 20 years as a professional film, television, and stage actress, having worked with such notables as Ed Harris, Beau Bridges, and Sid Caesar. A prolific author, her critically acclaimed book, True Power, is the riveting and true story of how she was kidnapped and held at gunpoint for over 5 hours by an escaped convict. Her escape and the positive practical strategies she used to rise above one of the life's most potent challenges led Investors Business Daily to feature her in its Leaders and Success column. One thing Linda says she knows for sure is that we can all live happier, richer, and healthier lives if we are willing to challenge our beliefs about who we think we are and what we are capable of accomplishing. Here to help us challenge some of those beliefs and kick off our 2015 International Policy Conference, The Essentials of Happiness, please help me welcome Linda Larsen.
You know, I like to get to know as many people as possible before I speak to a group, and it's just not possible for me to talk to every one of you. So I have one fill-in-the-blank question. And if you will all simultaneously answer this question, it will tell me volumes about you. So here you go, fill in the blank. There she was, just walking down the street singing, my people. Well, some of you were my people. Some of you just went, what in the world is that woman talking about? And so that makes me want to ask you, how many of you, like me, were a teenager sometime during the 60s? Can I see your show of your hands? 5 of us. Okay, that's good. How many of you then weren't even born yet in the 60s? Watch this. Yes. Well, then let me ask you this question. How many of you were a teenager in the 60s, but you don't remember it? So if you now will raise your hand.
Or won't admit to it.
Yeah, actually, not when I admit to it. Well, all this means is that I have been around for a very, very, very long time. And I've been on my own personal quest for happiness for a very long time. Because you see, I didn't start out that way. That probably wasn't in the cards for me if you believe that things are kind of laid out and you have to take whatever cards are dealt you. That wasn't for me. My home, I grew up in a lower middle class family with a lot of dysfunction. Oh, we had your basic alcoholism and abuse, and we had craziness. We had it all. So no, I was not destined to become a happy person because of the environment from which I sprung. But along the way, I have made some discoveries. And it was very interesting for me. I know Dr. Wayne Dyer died recently. Back in the 70s or 80s, I think it was, I first read his book called Your Erroneous Zones. And that was the first time ever in my life that I realized that I was in charge of not only my happiness, but I had so much power in terms of what kind of outcomes I was going to get in life. I had that power. Now, with that power came a whole lot of responsibility, but it was just such a huge wake-up call that all of a sudden I saw that, you mean I'm in charge of my own happiness and I can create it? And I'm in charge of a life of joy and passion and fun and a wonderful career and great relationships? I'm in charge of that? Whoa, that is cool. So that to me was the opening thing that made me kind of look at life differently. And I've been on a journey ever since. I don't think happiness is a destination we ever get to because life happens. Stuff gets in the way. Some big old boulders are thrown at you. So I do believe that it's an ongoing process. So I'd like to share this journey with you because I'll tell you this. It's not just, it's easy to be happy when everything is going your way, right? That's easy. Oh, like, oh yeah, I got a check in the mail I didn't even expect. Woohoo! Or just things are great. So the question for me became, okay, but Linda, what do you do when things aren't going your way? How do you be happy? Can you be happy then? What if you're out, you're in a hurry and you're driving somewhere and you've got these directions and they're not very good and Google's all confusing and all of a sudden you encounter a street sign that looks something like that? What do you do? Can you figure out what the heck they're trying to say there? And maybe you're trying to figure it out and you take a turn and it ends up being the wrong turn. What do you do then? Can you be happy in spite of this? Oh, wait, what about this? You're all dressed up. You're ready to go. You're looking fine. Every hair's in place. You walk outside, big wind comes along, and poof, bad hair day. It's always interesting to me that that picture gets the biggest laugh of everything. But then that's not really too interesting. But anyway, okay, I like to say in life, there's what I planned, and then there's what actually happened. And the two are not necessarily the same. Can we maintain our happiness through that kind of craziness? I say we can. I say we can. We can find, I'm going to show you ways to find humor in situations that will make you laugh that otherwise you just wouldn't have even looked for them there. You don't think they could possibly exist. But I will show them to you. You will see them. Here's the one thing, though, I think that stands in our way, and I had to come to grips with this. I wonder if you can relate in any way. It's that we have to beware of the falling coconuts. What do I mean by that? Okay, I mean that you and I, we are creatures of what? Okay, according to the research, Dr. John Barr, he was at NYU, I think he's at Yale now, or maybe that's backwards, I'm not sure. He did a lot of research into the field of, his words, the automaticity of being. Sounds really pretty fancy. All it means is he just wanted to see how much of our behaviors are automatic and unthinking. And they came to the conclusion, after a lot of research, that as much as 95, 8, 7% of all of our behaviors are automatic and unthinking. Oh, if you doubt this, let me ask you a question. I want you to hold your hand up because you all live in this area, if it's true for you. How many of you have ever driven from point A to point B, got all the way to point B, and don't know how you got there? Raise your hand if it's true for you. Now look around the room. Hold your hand in the air. Look around the room. When those people are on the road, stay home. Yeah, your foot knew how much pressure to put on which pedal, how many degrees to turn the wheel, stop, go, speed up, slow down. and you weren't even consciously there. See, what happened was once a long time ago, you had to get very conscious to learn this thing called driving. It's called conscious competence. You had to practice until you got really good at it, and then you didn't have to think about it anymore. Now you have unconscious competence. You don't have to think. You're good at it. You just do it. That's awesome if it's a habit that serves you well. That is not so great if it's a habit that doesn't serve you well. Anybody in the room besides me? And I would like to see your hands, because I may be alone in this. Ever talk yourself out of a good idea? Ever done that? Have you ever heard yourself inside your own head? Yeah. That's a habit that does not serve you. Didn't serve me. Oh, I'd love to go. No, I couldn't possibly do that. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough education. I'm not tall enough, thin enough, pretty enough, blonde enough, happy enough, whatever enough. And I stopped myself from going for all these things that could ultimately bring a lot of happiness and joy in my life. So I thought to myself, I need to take a look at my habits. What's not serving me? What's not serving you? Okay, so here's one that I thought about, and I would love to share this with you. Let's see. I want to make sure, we started a little bit late, and I want to make sure that we do end on time. So I'm actually going to suggest to you, here's what I'll do with this. I'm going to invite you all to take a look, a self-look, just go in your own time, sit down, and ask yourself that question. What's a habitual behavior of mine that isn't working? That doesn't serve me? Do I procrastinate? Am I disorganized? Do I have a tendency to see the glasses half empty all the time? What is a habit that doesn't serve you? And then ask someone, go to someone you live or work or go to school with and say, you know, I do this thing. I interrupt people, whatever it is. Would you help me and point it out when I do it? Because I don't even see it when I do it. So ask someone to give you some feedback. That takes courage. Because if you ask someone to tell you what you're doing that isn't working, 9 times out of 10, you are not going to want to hear what they have to tell you. It's just be like, oh, yeah, but what do you know? No, I don't really interrupt people all the time. No, you misinterpret. I'm just helping them by finishing their sentences for them. So I need you to be just mindful of that, pay attention, get real clear. And just say, you know what, I'm willing to let this go. I don't have to own this as who I am. Haven't you all met someone, maybe they're kind of rude, or they're impatient, or they're critical of other people, and you say, wow, you can be so critical sometimes. And they say, and here's their answer, well, that's just the way I am. No, that's the way they've chosen to be. And I hope when you hear yourself go, well, that's just the way I am, I hope you go, cancel. That's just the way I've chosen to be. I can choose something different. That's up to you. We can all do that, even though sometimes we don't think we can. So here's one of the things I think will help you stay on the path to happiness. This is a big one for me. Harness the power of the self-fulfilling prophecy. The SFP, the self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what this is. You basically say, this is going to be wonderful, and it turns out to be wonderful. I'm going to love that, and you do. This is going to be awful, and it is. Some people say, well, let me ask you. How many people in here talk to yourself during the day, if I could see your hands? Oh, some of you did raise your hand. I've got this image of you sitting there going, do I talk to myself? I don't know. Let me think about this. Maybe not. Yeah, we do. The average person has between, I think it's like 40 and 50,000 thoughts per day. I've heard that somewhere. I don't know how accurate it is. But I also heard that 80 to 90% of all of our thoughts are negative. Yes! You know this is true. Your alarm clock went off this morning. There was your first negative thought, wasn't it? Tell the truth. Didn't you go, oh, is it 6 o'clock all night? I didn't sleep well last night. My pillow's bunchy. I don't like this anymore. It's raining. I gotta go all the time to walk in the rain. Right? Don't we do that? You see, we're setting ourselves up for disaster. I want you to watch this little video that I found that proves this point. Or didn't.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Telephone.
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? Help! I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, enough left to do.
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he could fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
Oh, does anybody remember hearing the first words out of his mouth when the escalator stopped? Anybody remember hearing that? What he said? This isn't good. That is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That set him up for disaster. Beyond that point, he's not looking for solutions. Beyond that point, he's looking to blame. Beyond that point, there's no options for him except to be a victim. Now, I know this is a joke and it's kind of a funny thing, but it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And yes, that is an identifiable principle. I have another name for it. It's the same thing. It's this. What you name the thing tends to become. What you name it, what you call it, how you define it, how you interpret it. This is good, this is bad. Have you ever heard yourself say, as you're going into a meeting, this is a complete waste of time? I bet you have. And that sets you up not to hear any possibilities in there because you've already decided it in advance. And this thing is at play with us. I'm telling you, you lock onto this one, you get this one, you can create magic in your life if you use it consciously. Because it's working. Whether you use it consciously or don't, it's working. So what if you use it consciously? I actually learned this, it was several years ago. It was in Mahwah, New Jersey. I was doing an all-day session for Jaguar cars. And I started at 9, I was concluding at 4. I was setting up my stuff in the morning. And I'm talking to myself before anyone arrives, and I'm naming the thing. The thing is a full-day session. That's my thing. I'm naming it. I'm deciding what it is. And here's what I decided in my head. I said, I heard it. This is going to be great. They are going to love this. They're going to get so much out of this, they're going to invite me back to work with another one of their groups. They might even pay me with a brand new Jaguar. I'm talking to myself. I'm naming my day. Okay, now watch. The next thing that happens after you're defining it is your emotions kick in. Yeah, I'm beginning to feel good. I'm happy. I'm excited. I just had so much fun. All these emotions now are going to impact how I communicate, how I deliver this presentation to these groups. How I deliver this presentation gets me certain results. Okay? Then I can look at the results and go, see, that's what I knew was going to happen. So let's go back here. It's going to be great. They're going to love it. Woohoo! Pay me with a new Jaguar. Let's go. Okay, I'm ready to go. They all walk in at 9 o'clock. There's a couple things I didn't mention. Number one, there are only 12 people in this class. Only 12. They are all men. And they are all engineers. All 12 of them. And there's one long table set up in front of me with 12 chairs. They all walk in very quietly. They put their pad of paper down in front of them. They line the pens and pencils up on the right. They put their coffee cup in the upper right-hand corner. They fold their hands across their pad of paper. They stared at me and never said a word. Oh, yes. And I was teaching them. The name of my class was How to Be More Creative. Oh yeah, I wanted to say, you want to be more creative? Put your coffee cup on the other side. Let's start there. Well, I didn't, but I'm off and running 9 o'clock, so I'm like, okay, you want to be more creative. You've got to ask a lot of stupid questions. You've got to take risks and ask fun things and play and have a good time. Well, about 10:30, hour and a half into this, I couldn't help but notice I was getting nothing back from these people. Nothing. They're still sitting there with their hands folded, just kind of staring. And that's when I remember thinking to myself, uh-oh, I see dead people. That was my first thought. My second thought was, I started to rename the thing. I heard it in my head. I heard it when I said, these people are so narrow-minded. Boom, I named them. This is a waste of my time. I named it. They don't like me. I named it. And I don't like them. I named it. And then what happens after you name something? The emotions kick in, right? I'm feeling a little resentful. I'm feeling a little anger. I'm feeling a little annoyed. And those emotions are now going to color how I deliver my presentation. Thank you. I got it right at that moment. I went, ooh, Linda, wait. What you name the thing tends to become, if you don't like what you see, rename it. So I looked out at all those blank faces and I said to myself, oh, look, they are mesmerized by the brilliance of this information. Why, they are just transfixed by the possibilities that they see. They are stunned with joy. And that just fired me back up. So I'm like, okie doke, we're good. And I gave them everything I had up until 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock came, I was exhausted. So I start packing up, they get up to leave. Just before the last 2 men walked out of the room, they turned, said something to each other, and started walking back up toward me. I heard a little voice in my head, run, Forrest, run! And I went, oh no, just stay put. Everything's fine. They walked up, one man stops right in front of me, looks at me, and he goes, Linda, can we talk to you for just a minute? Yeah, part of me wanted to say, nope. It's 4 o'clock. Talk amongst yourselves if you want, but I'm out. Of course I said yes. He looked at me then and he went, several of us went to lunch today and we were talking about this class. We decided it may very well be the best class we've ever attended. Whoa. And then his exact words were, yes, I don't know when I've ever laughed so hard in all my life. Nah. I never heard any laughter. Let's make no mistake. I heard a loud burp once. No laughter. But then, his next exact words were, would you come back and work with another group of our engineers? I had mixed emotions, I'm just saying. But of course I said yes, because don't you remember? That's what I originally said was going to happen. That's how I named the day. That's how I defined it. And that's what I created. However, oh, let's stop. If I had allowed myself to go where I started to go at 10:30 in the morning, would I have created the same outcome? Yes or no? What do you think?
No.
No. Not going to happen. They would have walked out going, started pretty good, but boy, it just all collapsed and folded up. What you name the thing tends to become. It doesn't matter where you are in life. Are you a student? I'm going to do horrible on this test. This is just awful. I can't remember anything. Oh, please don't say those words. Don't say those words. Do your best. Study as hard as you can. And then just breathe and say, I'm prepared. I'm good. And I'm not kidding. This stuff works. I have to tell you this because I don't think I've ever told an audience this, but it applies here because a lot of you are students. When my son was just first starting out, when he was only like 2 or 3 years old, I used to do little numbers and letters with him at home before he got into big school. I would do play tests with him. I would say, Miles, we're gonna do a test! Yay! And this little 2-year-old blonde-headed kid, you know, he's like, yay, I guess, yay, okay, a test. He didn't know what a test was, but I defined test with, this is gonna be fun. And I would say, let's put these 3 letters together and see what word it comes up with. And I would play and play and play until he got it, and he'd say like, cat. I would go, ah, you are so good at tests. Oh my word, you are good at tests, young man. And every week, every month, we played that game. Let's have a test. Yay! Pretty soon he's like, oh, I love tests, I'm so good at tests. I can only imagine when he went into school, first grade, and the teacher went, okay, let's take a test. This one little blonde-headed kid in the back of the room went, woo! Okay, fast forward. I told him this, you're so good at tests, you're so good at tests, you're so good. I told him that. He then began to name the thing. He named his test taking easy, fun, great. But I don't think he ever knew exactly what was happening. That's just how he defined himself. Fast forward to the GREs. He's going into graduate school. And he scores almost like a perfect test. And I said to him one day, and I've forgotten all about all this stuff. He's now 22 years old or whatever. And I said, Miles, dang, how did you do that? And he looked back at me with this just total, like, innocent look on his face, and he went, I don't know, Mom. I've just always been good at tests. Hattie? Always been good at tests? Well, yeah, he had. Because that's the way we started it out. It's never too late to change what you're telling yourself. Never, ever too late. It's going to take some work when you're, 20, 30, 40 years old. He was 2. He hadn't made any other conclusions yet. But we can do it. We can absolutely do it. On your journey to happiness, besides remembering that what you name the thing tends to become, here's a big, big thing that will help you stay on the path. Hang around with happy people. Hang around with happy people as much as you possibly can. Okay, so here comes the question. How many of you live with a difficult person? Can I see your hands if you live with a difficult person? Some hands went flying off your body. How many of you work with a difficult person? Okay, no pointing now. Seeing you guys over there. How many of you are the difficult person? All right, let's just go. Okay, well, here's the thing. Some people we don't have a choice, They're in our family. They're part of our family. We're not going to abandon them because they're part of our family, but you can maximum or minimize the amount of time you have to be around them and the amount of time you have to talk to them. I love my brother more than anything in this world. And I will tell you this. My brother will find what's wrong with the most perfect day in the world just because he's wired to do that. So when he calls, I answer the phone. He's from the South. He's a good old boy. He's from Alabama, and he talks like this. I'll answer the phone, and I go, oh, hey, Rock, how you doing? That's my first mistake. How you doing? That's my first mistake. Oh, it's awful. Oh, my car's not working right. The truck's broke down. I ain't got no, and it's going to tick my, it's just like, boing, my brain fries. But I might have been in a good mood when I answered the phone, but by the time the conversation's done, I feel like stabbing myself with a dinner fork. It's bad. So I've learned there's 2 things, 2 strategies here. 1, that's what caller ID is for. If they call you and you see their number show up, do not answer that phone. Just don't do it. Now, I'm not saying you don't call them back. Of course you call them back. At a time when you know they will not be at their phone. So then you leave a message for them. Hey, Rock, I'm so sorry I missed you. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, that's one strategy. Second strategy is force them to tell you something that made them feel good that day. Force them. Don't let them off the hook. Because at first they'll say no. Here's how the conversation goes. Oh, it was awful. Everything's terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Rod. Did anything good happen this week? Nope, nothing. That's as fast as it comes. Nope, nothing. Well, I know it's probably nothing big, but if there was any little thing that happened that was good this week, was there anything little? Slight pause. No, nothing I can think of. I mean, well, if it was even almost so minor, you wouldn't even mention it. Longer pause. Well, I did get a good watermelon at the grocery store. Like, woo! Okay, man. So you can bring people around, but you have to be in charge of that. Don't go down the rabbit hole with them, and they will take you down. You'll just go sliding down, and pretty soon you're just all mired in it. You just must surround yourself with the happiest people you possibly can when you have options and choices. By the way, I want to now introduce you to the happiest person I know on the planet. That's my husband. His name is John. He is a weatherman. He's a meteorologist for an ABC station in Florida. Weatherman. I call him my weather muffin. He is happy almost, I'm telling you, I think the guy's happy like 95% of the time. I really do. He's happy when he's cooking. He is. He's happy when he's sleeping. He's the one on the bottom. I know some of you are thinking, well, good for you, you got a happy one. And I did. However, people have asked me many times why I'm so happy all the time. I got lots of reasons. One of them is because I hang around with him. Ah, but I've heard people ask him why he's so happy, and he's actually said it's because he hangs around me. Make no mistake about it, it's him. But I know what it really is. I know what it really is. It's mirror neurons. That's what it is. We all have them. So I've got them in my brain, you got them, we all got them in our brain. So if I'm talking to you, what's your name? Nathan? I'm talking to Nathan, and he's really happy about something. And he's like, oh, won the $80 million lottery, whoa! There are neurons in his brain that are exploding, right? They're going, boom, money, woohoo, life is good. When I'm watching him, the exact same neurons start firing in my brain. Exact same ones. And I'm like, oh, that's good. How much are you going to give me? Woo! we're in rapport, and it's those mirror neurons. Now, see, here's the really cool thing about it. Because I'm not saying that the only way you can be happy is to go hang around happy people so you can catch their mirror neuron activity. What I am saying is that you can use your mirror neurons to create happy people. We're doing good. You can use your mirror neurons to create happy people. How do I mean that? Here's the first way. Are you ready? Sure. I don't think there's a face in this room that didn't smile in response to that smile. Not a one. Your mirror neuron just went, okay, and you matched that little baby's face. That's the power of a smile. And by the way, you know, psychologists have long told us that the number one need of all people is the need for acceptance. The number one fear of people is the fear of rejection. And to treat people or to manage people effectively, to lead people effectively, to build great relationships, treat people in a way that enhances or protects their self-esteem. Most psychologists would agree on those three basic things. That honors all three of them. When you do that to somebody, when you smile at them like that, you've accepted them, you haven't rejected them, and you have done something that enhances that person's self-esteem. Because basically what you're saying is, it makes me happy just to look at you. Wow, that makes people feel great. And when they feel great, you feel great. We're back on this happiness thing again. It's I can't give it without getting it back. It just doesn't even work that way. So smiling. Here's another one, and this one is really fun. Use flying eyebrows. Yes. Okay, my son noticed this one. He said to me one day, he goes, Mom, have you ever noticed you can tell, by the way, all pictures coming from an up position into a woman who is over 60's face are very scary. I'm just letting you know that, just so you can burn those photographs and what you're getting. Okay. So you have to stand on the chair and shoot down. Hold on. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a whole nother presentation. Okay, so what was I saying? The flying eyebrows. My son told me, he goes, Mom, I like that whole thing about how you can instantly make somebody feel wonderful by smiling and by acknowledging them, and that's important to them. He said, there's another way that you do that. Besides smiling, you say their name. I went, yeah, that's true, you do say people's name. And he said, when somebody really likes you, he said, if you ever noticed, their eyebrows go flying off the top of their head. And I went, oh my word, you are so right. So it'd be like, kind of like if I was walking in and I normally see Nathan every day, and I'm like, yeah, Nathan, how you doing? Yeah, John, good to see you. Right? It's like, oh yeah, right. Clearly, you're very happy to see me. I got it. But if instead, when I walked in the morning and I saw him and it was, Nathan, good morning, hi. Boom, eyebrows go flying up. What that says to him is, I'm happy to see him. Whoa, that's cool. You make people feel like that. You give them the gift of your attention and your respect and your smile. Wow, people love that. They love that. And they love you because you're the one that's delivering that. Oh, I have to tell you. Oh, by the way, before I go on, let's do a test. Remember? I love tests! Okay, here we go. I want everyone to just lift your eyebrows now. Just lift. some of you can't even find the muscle. That's how much you lifted. Others of you just look startled. Don't take that picture. Listen, do not go back to class this afternoon. Don't do it. Don't walk in and go, hi, how's it going? Really good? Don't do that. They're going to look at you and go, woo, drums. Don't do it. But still, fine eyebrows. Oh, I have to tell you the story. Okay, so I'm checking into a hotel. I'm speaking at a Four Seasons in Atlanta. I'm just minding my own business, walking along. I'm doing fine. I go walking up to the counter, and as I'm walking up, the woman hears me coming. And how many times have you walked into a store, you know they know you're coming, you know you're in their peripheral vision, and they keep doing whatever they're doing, and then finally, when they're ready, they go, can I help you out? Right? Not this woman. She saw me coming like a half mile away. She looks at me, smiles, I'm like, oh, okay, here I come. I walk up to the counter and I said, hi. She goes, hi, welcome. And I said, hello, I'm Linda Larsen, I'm checking in. Here's what she did. I remember this till the day I die. She looked at me and went, oh, Mrs. Larsen, we've been expecting you. What? Are you kidding me? I'm right? I'm just like, you were expecting me? I'm looking around to see if like she means somebody else or what the deal is here. That woman made me feel like $1 million. Guess what? I still talk about her today. That's 10 years ago. I still talk about her. I still talk about the Four Seasons. You want to have an impact on people? You give that to people, they will talk about you for the rest of their lives, how amazing you are, because you made them feel so good. Okay, so we're talking about like great things that you can do when life's going great and you're feeling wonderful. What do you do when things don't go so great? I say you embrace your inner bozo. Okay, only those of us who are old enough remember, what happens when you hit the bozo of the cloud? It bounces back up, right? That's called resilience. I say when things go wrong, you have to fix the problem, fix it quickly. You have to reframe it or rename it, whichever one you want to call it. Reframe it, give it another meaning, and then you have to move on. So it's a very quick 3-step process. Fix the problem. Don't lament how awful it was and talk about it for the next 10 years of your life. Just reframe it, what good came out of it, and then move on. See, the guy in the video this morning on the escalator, he could have done that. He could have fixed the problem. Start walking. He could have renamed it. Here's how he would have renamed it or reframed it. He would have said, am I the luckiest guy on the planet or what? I thought I had to go work out today, but I got to walk the escalator, so I'm good. Woohoo! And then he could just move on and stop complaining to everybody for the rest of the week about the bad escalators. Okay, so fix it, reframe it, and move on. This one, I truly, truly did have to learn the hard way. And it was 1969. I was 21 years old. Some of you are doing math right now, aren't you? I saw the little calculators in your brains come out. I was 21 years old. I was married, divorced, and I had a 2-year-old baby boy. And I was working as a receptionist for a law office at the front desk, making $55 a week. I was suffering from panic and anxiety attacks that were so horrific and so debilitating that there were some times that I came frighteningly close to taking my own life, more times than I care to admit. And there I was, working at that law office, in this state of extreme duress. And I remember the morning of December 5th, 1969, I woke up and I fell headfirst into that place. So dark, so terrifying, it just sheer panic. If you've never felt that, say a prayer of thanks, because it's pretty hideous. But I remember lying in bed with the covers up under my neck, and I remember thinking to myself that I could not make it for one more day. Couldn't do it for one more hour. And then I remember hearing the words in my head like they were playing on some kind of a tape-recorded loop. I remember hearing, I'm ready to die. I'm ready. I'm ready to die. Now I need you to remember those words because they come back in just a moment in this story. It was just that time that I heard my 2-year-old baby stirring in the room next to me, and I realized that I had to figure out a way to make it, at least for this moment. So Summoning courage from I don't know where, I got up, got dressed, got him dressed and fed, took him to daycare, went to that law office, sat behind that receptionist desk, hanging on to my sanity by the thinnest of threads. And that was the morning at 11:30 a.m. when in through the front door burst a man in a convict prison uniform brandishing a .357 Magnum. It turns out that he was an escaped convict on a road gang. He had jumped the guards, stolen the gun, fled on foot, went into the first office he found. It was mine. He grabbed me by the arm, he slammed the gun in my face, and he said to the two attorneys who were standing there at the time, "Give me your car keys, give me your money. I'm leaving, I am taking her with me. Don't call the cops or I will kill her." I need you to think back for just a moment to the emotional state that I was in before the man came in the room. Remember that? Oh, by the way, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a .357 Magnum or not. I had not. If you haven't, that's what one looks like. That is not, however, what it looks like when it is 1 inch from your face. No, then it looks something like that. True. Well, he took me to an abandoned house, and there he held me hostage for over 5 hours. And I guess I had what Dr. Phil would have called one of life's defining moments. It actually happened at one point. He, about maybe 2.5 hours into being at this house, he allowed me to sit in a chair about 8 feet away from the chair he was sitting in the living room. And he sat in his chair, gripping his gun, staring at me, not saying a word. The only word I have to describe what I was experiencing at the time, the only word that occurs to me and has occurred to me since then, is frozen. Everything felt frozen. And all of a sudden, out of absolutely nowhere, he slowly raised the gun. He pointed it directly between my eyes. He cocked the hammer, and his exact words were, "Are you ready to die?" There was a part of me that wanted to say, "Funny you should mention that." Dude, I was just thinking about that this morning. But I've changed my mind. So if you don't mind, I'll just be running along. Well, that is not what I said. But in that moment, I got it. I got several things. Number one, no. I was not ready to die. But don't you find it fascinating that 7 hours earlier, not only did I think I was ready to die, but I was ready to take my own life. Oh, be very careful what you wish for, because what you name the thing tends to become. The second thing I got in that moment was this, that if I was going to escape, that I had to figure out some way to build some kind of a relationship with him, some kind of rapport, something that would relax him just enough to let his guard down so that I could find a moment to escape. And believe me, I didn't feel like I was consciously in charge of anything. I wasn't like, oh, I'll say this here and that there. Oh, that's a clever thing to do. I don't know what was happening, except I knew I had to, in some way, get him to trust me a little bit. And this comes back to what I was saying earlier. The number one fear is the fear of rejection. The number one need is the need for acceptance. To manage people effectively, treat them in a way that enhances their self-esteem. I didn't know that consciously when I was in that room, but something inside me must have known it. And that's exactly what happened. I escaped. He let his guard down, and I 5 hours later, found the moment to escape. No one rescued me. He didn't let me go. And yes, let's go back to, what do you do when something goes wrong? You fix the problem. Okay, I had a problem. I got kidnapped. I did everything in my power to fix the problem as quickly as possible, and I did. But as soon as I escape now, oh, guess what happens? I have a new problem. How do you deal with that happening? That's a pretty big problem. Good news. It's one of the reasons why I so fell in love with social work and wanted to become a social worker, because when I went to this wonderful social worker who helped me see this, he said to me, here's the deal, Linda. You get to give this situation that happened to you meaning. It doesn't have any by itself. You decide what it means. Was it the worst thing that could possibly happen to you? And now you can trust no one, and your life is really doomed, and you must be bad because they're coming after you with guns. You can make that decision. Or do you want to make a different decision? One that's more empowering. One that gives you possibilities. One that gives you hope. I went the second round. And here's what I decided that that thing meant in my life. Why this happened to me. Here's why it happened. Because I was so blessed that God must have loved me so much because he knew I was about ready to take my own life. And he looked down and went, whoa, I'm going to have to put her somewhere where she understands the preciousness of life. And he put me in that situation. And I did see it. I did see that I wanted to live. See, here's the thing. I don't think I could have gotten it any other way. I know that sounds dramatic. I wish it didn't, but it's a fact. I didn't know that. I was one sick puppy, and I was on the verge of taking my own life, and I do believe I would have succumbed to that if it had not been for this bad thing that happened. So the question is, what are the bad things in your life that have happened that never should have happened? Is there any gold in there? Oh, we have to grapple with it, we have to deal with it, we have to process it, we need help doing that sometimes. But somewhere on the other side of it, we can come to a place where we go, that was a gift. It didn't look like a gift, didn't come in a box with a pretty wrapping, but that was a gift. I invite you to go back and look at those things, and then I invite you from this moment forth to absolutely go forward looking at things like that. What are the things that that happen to you? How can you look at them and turn them into gold for yourself? You can do that. Now, oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now that one just slipped by real fast because I want to wrap up, but before I do, I got something really important for you. The second thing I want to do is, oh please, I do not want to lose touch with you people. I just do not. Please hit that like button on that page of mine there. It's the one with the wacky hat. You'll see it. Hit the like button so that we can stay connected. You can send me any message, anything. You want to talk about something, you want to ask a question, you want to tell me something that's cool, whatever. You just send that message to me and I will get back to you. And here's what I do on that page. A cool, fun little idea. Something that will help you think more creatively. Something that might just make you laugh. Just designed to make you laugh or feel good or feel happy. So if you hit that like button, you'll get those notifications when they come down. They don't come that often, but whenever they do, you'll get it. Okay, now I'm going to wrap up for just a second because this is important. This is a journey. We're all on it, and we get to decide what it's going to be. I'm inviting you to take 100% ownership of creating the most happy life possible for you. It's in your hands. That's the good news. And you can do that by remembering the power of the self-fulfilling prophecy. What you name the thing tends to become. Take a look at your habits that are not moving you toward that happy path. Take a look at those habits and start working on those. Remember the power of smiling and flying eyebrows and hanging around with happy people. Remember these things. They will help you every step of the way. And when things go wrong, just fix it, reframe it, and move on. Last point, and this really helps, and it's one of the things I wanted to leave you with today. Find the funny. Everywhere you turn, whenever you can, find the funny. It is there. It exists. Now, I'm going to tell some of you, I'm going to tell you something that happened to me. How many of you have kids? Can I see your hands if you have kids? Okay, that is not everyone, nor did I expect it to be. Raise your hands if you were a kid. Okay, perfect. Raise your hand if you have grandchildren. Do we have any grandchildren? Or nieces or nephews? All right. Okay. Here's what we know for sure. We know that nothing can turn a rational, intelligent, mature adult into a blithering idiot faster than a kid who is not doing what you are asking them to do. So I had a stepson that came to visit me once, and I am constantly looking for ways to make something funny and fun. He wouldn't clean up his room. I bribed, I cajoled, I begged, I pleaded, I threatened, you name it, I did it. He would not clean up his room. And I went, you tell me there's something funny in here? I don't see anything funny in here. And then I remember thinking, oh yeah, there is. Just keep looking. So I asked myself, who could come in his room and ask him to clean it up and he would actually do it? Who? My answer was, well, LL Cool J, because that was his favorite rap artist of all. He could come in and do it. And I went, well, I can't get LL Cool J. Now what? And then a little voice in my head said, but could you find LL Cool Ma, maybe? Linda Larsen, LL? Come on, it's not a stretch. Could you do that, maybe? And I did. I found her, and I wrote a little song to get this stepson of mine, to clean up his room. And I'll tell you what happened afterwards. But in the meantime, please feel free to use this. My web designer told me he put it on my site. It's free. Download it. Use it if you want to. It's just the music, so you can put your own lyrics, or you can put whatever you want to put in there. So the next time, let's say it's your son or grandchild does not clean up their room, try this. Go out and get yourself a hat. But you have to wear it the right way. And I do not know what the right way is anymore. So some of you people can tell me, but this is all I got right now. Get yourself some glasses. Okay, then you gotta get some bling. Okay? Okay. Now you gotta get a little fun going on. Come on, get a little. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Your room, dude, it's looking real bad. Your room, dude, you better listen to your dad. He's mad, real mad. Better pick up your clothes or the iPhone goes. Pick up your pen or the television's dead. Boom! That's what I'm talking about. Oh, now you listen to me. I'll tell you how it's going to be. This ain't the home of the free. There's a price, don't you see? I told you 15, 25, 35 times. The money's going to stop. Your home's going to pop. You better toe the line of your car and mine. All right. Listen up. Well, I can hear you squeal. What's the big deal? Well, let me tell you how I feel. Let me tell you how I feel. I'm a woman on the edge, a woman on the edge, a stressed out menopause, a woman on the edge. You don't want to mess with me. You better not mess with me. Go! I will tell you that my stepson looked up at me, and then this tiny little voice, he went,